If you're watching this video, then you're probably a property professional. You're most likely a buyer's agent, a investment advisor, a mortgage broker, or anyone who actually has a property service business. And you probably feel like you're the same as all your competitors, and you struggle to stand out, you struggle to differentiate yourself, and you struggle to be unique. When you look at all your competitors' websites, it seems like everyone is saying the exact same thing. Well, if that's you, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we create irresistible offers for our clients to scale their property business from 6 to 7 figures. Now, this framework that we use is called our 7-figure offer framework. So you're going to want to stick around till the end of the video because I'm going to show you every single step involved in creating these offers that generates our clients hundreds and thousands of dollars in revenue every single year. So as context, I'm going to say that for this video, it actually helps to watch the previous video that I filmed. And that video actually goes through the entire marketing system that we use for our clients to scale their property businesses from 6 to 7 figures. And in that video, which I will link somewhere here, I pretty much went through the entire Zenflow Lead to Buyer client acquisition system. And one of the first steps in the whole marketing system is actually defining your offer. So this video is actually really about going deep into defining your offer and showing you guys exactly how to define your offer. So if you haven't watched the whole marketing systems video, I highly recommend that you watch that because that's going to be really useful context for the rest of this video. But let's just jump straight into it. So why every property pro's offer sounds the same? Cool. So this probably sounds familiar, right? You probably run ads, but you feel like nothing converts. You've tried to run ads in the past, whether it be image ads, video ads, you've tried different copy, you've tried all these marketing tactics that you see, but nothing has really brought in consistent leads. Nothing has cut through the market and your competitors. And you probably message leads, but you never hear back. So leads are ghosting you. Leads are simply not interested in your offer. And the reason leads are ghosting you is because they're not actually confident in the decision that they're making. They feel like something else in the market might be a better alternative. And when you're put in that bucket, you're not actually one of one. Prospects might say, let me think about it. And then they ghost. That's a typical sales objection that usually means that you have not shown them enough value and they don't feel like this offer is valuable enough to justify the investment that they have to make. So they see it as more of a cost, right? So the way you position your offer actually feeds in through your entire sales process. And if you're getting a lot of objections, sales objections, especially around needing to think about it, that means that they just aren't certain enough in what you're offering. And today we're going to show you how to completely flip that around. Your competitors' websites, they all probably say the exact same thing. And if you were to open up 5 of your competitors' websites right now, 5 competitors that you personally know, and you read through their website, it's most likely going to say something along the lines of, we're trusted buyer's agent, we've helped over 200 people find amazing properties, we source properties that no one else can source, and you know the drift. It basically sounds the same for every single property business. And you feel like you sound like every other service provider out there. So if any of these resonate, then you're in the right place because we're about to walk through exactly the framework that we use to get crystal clear and define your irresistible offer, which we're going to be walking through together today. Before we actually dive into things, what is a generic offer costing you, right? We need to kind of break it down. So there are 3 impacts of having a generic offer. A lot of people don't actually realize what it's costing them. So I think it's really important for you, if you're watching, to realize what is the cost of not having a unique and irresistible offer. The first thing is it's going to affect your click to lead ratio. So with a generic offer, you're most likely going to have a 1 to 2% click to lead ratio, which means that around 1 to 2% of people who actually click on your ad actually end up filling out that lead form. Right? If you have a sharp offer, on the other hand, that's more than doubled. So typically what we see with clients is that sharp offers have around a 5 to 7% click to lead ratio, right? So what this means is you spend pretty much less or the same, but you actually get a 3 to 5x, better return. So if you have a bad offer, you're going to get a 3 to 5x higher cost per lead than if you were to have an offer that's dialed in. Second thing is that you need to look at your close rate. So this is a big one. We just spoke about sales objections. If you have a generic offer, you're most likely going to have around a 10% close rate. Whereas if you have a dialed offer, a sharp offer, you're going to have a close rate closer to around 30%, right? So again, it's around a 3 conversion rate if you have a dialed in offer than if you were to have a generic offer. And the third thing is a longer sales cycle. And this is something that a lot of people don't think about, especially in the property space. This is really important, guys, because your sales cycles are already typically longer than other service-based businesses. So if you have a vague offer, it's going to be more questions, more objections, and more delays. Whereas if you have a dialed in offer, right, the same deal is going to close much quicker. So what we see is typically a 30-day longer sales cycle for offers that are just not irresistible and haven't been defined clearly enough. Because you've heard me say sharp offer, an offer that's dialed in. What does that actually mean? Let's unpack that together. So what does a sharp offer look like? Well, a generic offer, firstly, looks like this. And if you actually sound like this, then it is a clear confirmation that you actually don't have a dialed in offer and you need to go through this exercise that I'm about to walk you guys through. So I help you find your dream home. How many of buyer's agents say that? How many investment advisors say that? Yep, a lot. I source off-market deals. I love this one because that's what everyone says. I source off-market deals. I get you exclusive deals that nobody else gets you. Guess what? Everyone else is saying the exact same thing. So you got to figure out how to package up your offer differently. I save you time and money. It's great, but it's not good enough. You know, I'm a mortgage broker. I find investment properties. These are just not going to cut through the noise. Sharp offers, on the other hand, have 4 main components that we're going to unpack. Who? The specific customer that you are targeting. Not everyone interested in purchasing a first home. Not everyone interested in purchasing an investment property. That does not count. Problem in their language. The outcome, which is time-bound and quantified proof, specific numbers of how you've helped other people. So these are the components that lead to a dialed-in offer, right? This is the difference between 6-figure property businesses and 7-figure property businesses. 7-figure property businesses have a dialed-in offer that cuts through the noise. And one other thing to highlight there is, you know, the results the customer gets, it's not what you do, right? So it's written for a specific audience with proof that you can deliver it. So that is what a sharp offer looks like. Now let's unpack the 4 elements, right? Because this is what's going to lead to a problem or an offer statement. And that offer statement is going to be a really important asset that we're going to reuse throughout all our marketing. So go through this a little bit more later on. But once you actually come up with a consistent offer, one of the best parts about it is your messaging now becomes consistent throughout the entire customer experience. So all the way from a lead form till someone actually books a sales call and joins that sales call, all your messaging is staying consistent. So you're not saying different things, and that creates trust with your end customer. So if we were to come up with an example for this, right? Let's just say, for example, we're a buyer's agent, and let's say that we target first home buyers in Sydney, right? So our who would be first home buyers in Sydney with an 800K to 1 million budget buying in 3 months. Now you see how specific this is? This is not just first home buyers in Sydney. This is first home buyers with a specific budget buying in a specific period of time. That helps you filter out bad fit clients. The reason why so many of you guys are getting bad fit clients or getting low quality leads is simply because your messaging is not good enough. Your positioning is not good enough. Your creatives may be good enough, but you're not actually calling out the specific customer that you want to attract, and your copy is just not doing you any justice, right? Second part is the problem. So the problem as well is written in the customer's language. So they get outbid 5 times this year. They've already gotten outbid 5 times this year. They're scared they'll never get on the property ladder. These are real fears written in the customer's language. And the best way to find this out is actually if you record your sales calls to go into those conversations. And when you ask people about what their struggles are, what their challenges are, then they actually say that in their own words. And the beautiful thing with AI is, which we'll go into very shortly, is that you can actually summarize all these transcripts and come up with the pain points, the exact pain points of your customers. And if you're not doing this, then you are missing out. You're leaving a huge chunk of money on the table if you're not actually digging through your sales calls, all your customer interactions, and putting it and feeding it through into a specific AI agent that's going to help you to summarize this and use it in your marketing. Third thing is the outcome. The outcome is just as important because this is what you're actually promising. What's the promise that's worth the customer actually stopping and investing time into trying to understand what you offer? The outcome, for example, is offer accepted in 60 days, 10% under market. You don't have to attend any open homes, right? So notice how specific that is. And that will appeal to the right person if you've got the pain points correct. And the last element is just really the icing on the cake, which is the proof, right? So 200 plus buyers helped, 50K average saved, 4 years track record. These are just numbers that provide a very solid foundation of trust for your customers. So if we combine all this together, then what we come up with is I help first home buyers in Sydney with a 800K to 1 million budget, tired of being outbid, get an offer accepted within 60 days at 10% under market without going to a single open home. Over 200 buyers placed in the last 4 years. So this offer statement is what is actually going to help you to cut through, right? This offer statement, when actually fed into your marketing system. So if you haven't already understood what we mean when we say marketing system or client acquisition system, I highly recommend that you watch the previous video that I mentioned earlier. But this is, if you think about this like the input into the entire machine, that is your client acquisition system. If you have a really dialed in offer, then the rest of your machine is just going to flow so much better, so much more smooth. Whereas if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. And that's what a lot of you guys are actually doing, is you're putting a generic offer into all these ads and wondering why the ads are not working. You're wondering why you're getting low quality leads. You are putting a generic offer into whatever mechanism you're using. So even organic content, whatever, right? Whatever it is, you're just feeding in garbage. And that's the problem that we need to fix. And like we say here, this is going to be in all your marketing touch points. That's going to be things really actually start to go to the next level when you consistently include the offer after you validate it in all your touch points, because that creates the cohesive experience that we were just talking about. So that's how you come up with an offer. But more specifically, this actually takes a lot of time, right? This takes a lot of time. So going through all these components, right? If you were to build your offer, which is the next step, because we're going to actually go through this together, you have two options. Because one is you can do it manually, and you can go through your client interviews, you can go into Google, you can go into all these property websites, competitor websites, forums, Reddit, or you can actually use AI. And this is what we do with our clients specifically, is that we actually utilize Claude. So we have actually created a skill called our Zenflow Offer Craft, which walks you through the 11 phases of creating an irresistible offer. And this specific AI agent has been trained in the property space, and it's been trained to ask you a series of questions that will help you get clarity on exactly what your offer needs to be across all your client acquisition and marketing activities. So just to break it down to you guys, we're going to actually go through this together in this video, and we're going to create this together. And just so you know fully how the entire process works. And by the way, this is what we do with our clients. If you actually work with us for your marketing systems, this is one of the first steps that we take, is to actually define your offer. And typically it actually takes quite a bit of time to get this right. Okay, so it might take a few iterations. So the process is typically, it's going to rely on a couple of different stages, which we'll go through. It's gonna, ask you a couple of things. It's gonna prompt you, and then you're gonna get a PDF document with everything that you need for your offer to define the offer. So if you want to follow along, we're going to actually build it out together now. So there's a link in the description, and that link contains a Claude skill. So if you are not using Claude yet, the first step is going to be to actually register and create an account with Anthropic, and then it's going to be to actually have Claude accessible. Once you figured out that, then you can continue this step, right? But I'm going to assume that you already use Claude, okay? And if you use Claude, then I'm going to show you the exact steps of how to actually create your offer now. So what we're going to do is now we're going to walk into Claude. So this is Claude. if you haven't used Claude yet, I highly recommend you do, because it's one of the most powerful AI tools out there. We use Claude for a lot of our clients. And what we have created specifically here is called a skill. And if you aren't really familiar with Claude and how skills work, then that's okay. But a skill is pretty much a repeatable set of steps that the AI can execute throughout any project, any workspace, and it can get consistent outputs without you having to constantly give it context, give it all these inputs and all that stuff, which is very, very tedious. So all you need to do is literally download the skill from the description. You need to drop it into your Claude and you need to say, build the skill for my workspace. And once you've done that, all you need to do is / you'll see all your skills. So Zenflow Offercraft, and then you just need to say, help me create an can't spell. Okay, cool. So now I've run that skill and it's going to say, okay, I'll help you create an irresistible offer using Zenflow Offercraft framework. Let me load the skill. Okay, so now it's going to go through. It's going to fully understand what that process is, because we've already built out the entire skill for you. And if you want to see what that looks like, I can, walk you guys through that as well. But it's going to say ready to start, and then you're going to say, let's get started. And now we're going to go through the process, and you're going to follow step by step. So if you haven't already done this, you can do this and we can do it together. So onboarding. Okay, I'll ask you one at a time. Okay, so what kind of property service do you provide? So let's say we are a buyer's agent. I'm going to say buyer's agent, right? Let's say you're a mortgage broker, then you say mortgage broker. Pretty simple, right? It's not that hard, guys. We've made it super simple for you. What's your business name? Let's say it's I Love Property XYZ, right? Great. It's going to ask you what your business name is. What's your annual revenue band? So let's just say you're doing 200 to 500K, right? How long have you been operating? Let's just say 2 years. It's going to ask you a few onboarding questions just to understand what stage you're at in the business, which is really important. How many clients have you worked with in total? Let's say 50 clients. And now it's going to do its thing. Cool. Who? This is where most offers die. Property buyers isn't a who. Okay, we need to identify your single most profitable customer segment, specific enough that I can picture the person if you describe them. Okay, so out of the 50 clients you work with, it's going to prompt you, right? What makes you the most profit per engagement? So if that's something that you want to prioritize, then it's going to kind of ask you that, right? So think about across these stages, whichever one applies. So life stage, demographic, geographic, budget, etc. So it's going to ask you all these things. So now you're going to fill it in. So you're going to say, let's say we are going with first time, let's say demographic, we are going with, let's just say we're going with 32 to 45 year with families. Let's just say geographic, which city or suburbs do you actually deliver in? So let's just say I deliver in Sydney and Brisbane, for example. Budget range is typically, let's just say, 800K to 1 million, right? Bang. Cool. So now it's sharpening a few things before we lock it in. A few sharpening questions, right? So it's going to say, okay, so it's going to actually clarify a few things, which is super important. So I mentioned that we want to target first time investors. And then it asked me, right, dual income professional households, both partners working 200 plus combined, one high earner plus one partner managing home, self-employed business owners. So let's just say we want to target, for example, dual income professionals, right? Let's just say that, right? So we're going to say that, we're going to put it in. Then the why, right? First time investors don't wake up one day and decide to buy. What's the trigger, right? Let's just say the first one, right? As an example, I'm just using this as an example. You'd obviously answer in your own words because you know exactly what your customers' preferences are. Most of them, let's just say locally, let's say that's where your best case studies are, for example, right? Bang, we're going to put that in, right? Who this is not for, right? That's the third phase. Here's the logic. If your offer tries to appeal to everyone, it appeals to no one. Okay, so bad fit prospect, good fit prospects feel seen. That's great. Give me 3 to 5 disqualifying criteria. So now we need to give it 3 to 5 things that a bad fit customer would have, 3 to 5 characteristics, right? So here are a few categories that it's pulled from, right? So let's say, you have usable, if your usable equity is under X, right? Maybe let's just say, investment budget under Y. So let's just say investment budget on. And guys, one other thing that you can really do here is you can actually speak to Claude. So if you don't like typing, which I actually don't like, then you can actually just start speaking to it. So you can actually press and hold this mic icon and you can literally just chat to it. So I'm going to do that in fact now. Cool. So I think one of the disqualifying criteria is going to be if they have an investment budget under 800K, and also their mindset is really important. So if they expect overnight returns, then that's not the correct customer for us. And then finally, also their stage and timeline. So if they actually, haven't checked their borrowing capacity yet, then they're probably not the right customer for us. Bang, then I click stop, and then that's literally as easy as that. You don't even have to type, guys. You can literally just speak to this and have a conversation, and it's going to generate your entire offer for you. It's crazy, right? So it's saying, okay, and it's even like pushing, it's giving you feedback. It's saying, okay, let's add 1 to 2 in there. Yeah, so let's just say, for example, like, let's just put these two. It's because it's an example, but you'd actually really think about this before you actually do it. But I'm just going through it as an example so you guys get an idea and you're much more confident to do it for yourself. Now it's getting to phase 4, which is the problem. So now what it's going to do is it's going to ask you, do you have any of the following you can paste in for me to analyze? This is what we talked about. Do you have sales call transcripts, right? Do you have past client interview notes? Do you have 5-star reviews? Do you have testimonial quotes? Do you have email threads, DMs, Reddit threads? So you can feed all this into it so it understands even better who you are and who your customers are. So I will just say, for example, I don't have anything for now, right? Because I'm not going to go through and grab all this stuff, but you can certainly, in this phase, I'd recommend spending the most time. So you want to spend time going to your sales calls. If you don't already have the transcript, then use a free tool like Descript, right? Which you can go into. So you can literally type in Descript, and then you can literally create an account on Descript, and it will actually transcribe everything for you. So that's great. Or you can even just use AI, honestly, to do it. So that's how I do that. And then I would have that at a minimum. And I would also maybe add some reviews and any customer interview notes and stuff like that. Cool. So for now, it has 3 questions. When your most profitable customers talk to you on a discovery call, what's keeping them up at night, right? I'm just going to copy paste these 3 because it's just for the sake of showing you. Let's just say, for example, skip client example there. And then let's just say number 1 fear is, picking the wrong property, right? So now it's really starting to write some amazing copy. And by the way, this copy is literally something that we can feed straight into your ads. So you can see how all this actually feeds into one another. And if you have this defined and if you have it dialed in, it makes the whole process so much easier, right? Yes, I want to say yes, locked in, and then outcome. What do they get, right? So this is where it's going to probe you. So let's dial this in. Okay, cool. Okay, so the timeline is typically 45 days, 30 to 45 days. In terms of quantified wins, what clients typically experience is their properties are actually bought 40K below the market value. And in terms of friction, the clients typically don't have to spend hours on research. They don't actually have to deal with the stress of overpaying at auctions, and they don't have to actually waste time inspecting duds, and they can spend time with their kids actually enjoying life. So let's just say, for example, and then I've given it enough for it to actually now come up with an outcome for us as well. Yep, let's lock it in. So, okay, cool. So now it's pretty much got most of the stuff, right? And then it's going to ask you for some supporting wins, which you can also fill in. So that part as well, we're going to go through. Perfect. So it's actually given you some as well. These are actually really solid. Yeah, wow, these are actually really, really good. I'm going to go this for first time investors. I think that resonates quite well. Let's go B and D. Cool. So now it's almost there. It's going to give you the how it works. So now it's deliverables, right? So we're going to go through deliverables, and you're going to put in exactly what you deliver clients. So that is concrete and there's no uncertainty there whatsoever. So it's going to say, walk me through what a client actually gets step by step. And we're going to say, we're just going to say, cool. Okay. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to say discovery call. So I'm just going to paste this and we're going to fill this out together. All right. So let's just say discovery call, say 60 minutes. And then they're going to get, so let's just say you have some kind of system for them. Let's just say you have a suburb area research top property week to, and then off market access, and then you go through this entire thing, right? Yeah, so you get the idea, right? I'm not going to sit here and fill it all out, but it's something that you would really think about, because what you deliver is something that you need to clarify in your offer, and it's going to help you across all your other marketing. So I'd recommend spending a bit of time here thinking about what is it that we actually offer down to the granular level, because that's going to help you understand how you can package it up better and how you can also communicate the value. So we're going to say property inspection, yep, appraisal, and then finally negotiation. What we're going to say is we're going to say that, and let's see what it cooks up. We'll say lock in. Now what's going to happen is it's going to ask us to come up with a unique mechanism. So this unique mechanism is a way of actually packaging up what you offer in a way that actually makes it seem attractive and compelling. So a lot of the times you might have seen, specific trademark systems and the way it's named and it's called, and it's actually very important. So for example, our client acquisition system is called the Zenflow Lead to Buyer client acquisition system. And this is something that you need to do for your own system or your own offer. Come up with a unique mechanism that's going to help you to actually market it, and that's going to help you to actually appeal to more people. So examples it's going to give you, for example, it could be, so what do you actually have? Do you have a proprietary methodology, exclusive network, data access, some kind of scoring system? Let's just say we have a specific proprietary methodology, right, for actually selecting properties. Let's just go with that as an example, right? So let's see what it says. Cool. Now let's just say, put that in as an example. And now it's going to tell us what the unique mechanism should be, the 5-point capital growth filter. So for example, that is what it's come up with for our unique mechanism that we're going to use to actually package up our offer, right? So let's just say, yes, lock it in. And now this should be the final step, which is proof. So now it's going to ask you for proof, and you're going to provide proof of clients you serviced, your Google reviews, your case studies, etc. Right? So I'm just going to say skip this for now. It's going to say obviously don't skip this, but just for this, yeah, let's just say, for example, let's take that, right? Saying, okay, it's giving us, all right. So now it has figured out what the main point is here. Now it's going to synthesize and generate a PDF for you, which is going to be your offer doc that you can then feed into every single other touch point. That is when things become really powerful, guys, because now you have this offer doc, you can actually feed in to every single touch point. So if you want to create ad copy, you simply just attach this offer doc and you tell the AI, help me create ad copy. You don't even need to specify anything in the prompt. It's going to understand exactly what you offer and actually tailor copy that makes sense, instead of you having to go back and forth with it for, let's say, an hour trying to figure out how to actually prompt it to undo and what you do. So this is really the benefit of it. So now, as you can see, what it's going to do is it's going to build out the PDF. So we'll resume once it's finished the PDF, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. Cool. So now it's generated the PDF just like that. Within literally 30 seconds, it has generated an 8-page PDF doc for you, right? It's got the offer statement. We help Brisbane-based dual income professional families who are sitting on our equity, etc., etc. Who's this for? Who's this not for? And then there's obviously a bit of formatting issues there, which you can just clean up, which is no problem. So if this actually happens, typically sometimes Claude does have some formatting issues. So I just say, clean up format. But yeah, that's pretty much the offer doc, which it's going to generate from scratch. And you can also just tell it to provide it in a Notion template. We typically use Notion for a lot of our clients. So I can just say provide it in a Notion template, and then it's probably going to look much better, much cleaner. It's going to put it in a Notion page for you, and that's what we do with our clients. So you can do the same thing. But yeah, it's going to ask you to have access. So guys, next important thing is now you've come up with your offer, right? So we've gone through all the steps required to coming up with an irresistible offer. Now you've got clarity on exactly what your offer is. One thing to really note here, guys, is when we say offer, we're actually talking about your front end offer. What we mean by that is you don't have to specifically only offer and deal with this market, but this is your front end offer, meaning this should go into all your marketing and your ads and your copy and your landing page. So you should have specific funnels for different types of customers. Let's just say, for example, you don't just work with first-time buyers with an 800K to 1 million budget, but that's one of your most common customer types that actually it ends up being profitable for you. You need to actually play to that advantage. So what you need to do there is you need to come up with a specific offer that's tailored for them, build a funnel around that, and then that's when you start to see the quality of your leads improve. So you're not just attracting generic people who are tire kickers and time wasters. You're actually attracting the specific demographic because you're calling them out, and you see way higher conversions like we were talking about earlier. So please note, this is your front end offer. It doesn't mean that you only need to work with this market, which I know a lot of you guys are going to have as a question. So just keep that in mind, right? If you want to work with multiple markets, you can do that. But what we suggest for our clients is find your most profitable market that you tend to attract, where you have an advantage in, leverage that, play into that, use that to come up with a front end offer, an irresistible offer, build an entire marketing or client acquisition system around that. And that's when you'll see your property business well on its way to 7 figures, right? So one of the important things, guys, is you need to test your offer. You need to validate your offer. Now that you've come up with this offer, right, you need to actually validate it. So what that means is we typically follow this system with our clients, where you have 7 to 14 days to test this offer. You run $50 per day in terms of your Facebook meta ads, and there's a total of around $700, right? So what you're looking for here is you're looking for a few key metrics. So you're looking for click-through rate typically of around 1.5% or higher. I like to typically target 2%. Your cost per lead, right? You need to actually come up with a cost per lead. Typically in the property space, anything, from $80 to $120 is pretty good. Then your language echo. So are your leads actually using the name of your mechanism? Are they using the pain points, and are they using the language that you're using, right? And if it's a fit, then you lock it in, and then you actually lock it in and you double down on it. So you build an entire funnel around that, right? So that's the mistake that a lot of people make, is they have a generic offer, they build a generic funnel, and then they don't even understand why it's not converting, why it's not working. If it doesn't work, what you're going to do is you're going to iterate on that offer, and you're going to come up with a new offer, and you're going to test that offer, and you're going to validate that offer. You're going to go through the same process. So a lot of the times people think that when you're building marketing and client acquisition systems, you're just validating ads, but you're not actually validating ads. You're validating an offer. Your ads are a vehicle and a mechanism to validate that offer, right? So recap, guys. So this brings us towards the end of the video. So 6 things to really take away from this video. So number 1 is generic offers are the root cause of all marketing issues. If you have a marketing issue, you have low quality leads, tire kickers, time wasters, you have an offer problem, okay? Not the leads, not the ads, not the close, not the, not everything else. It's the offer. 3 penalties that stack up. You have a higher cost per lead, lower conversions, and a longer sales cycle if you don't dial in your offer. Now, an offer has 4 elements: who, problem, outcome, proof, right? This is the framework that we use to come up with irresistible offers for our clients. So I'll walk through the exact Claude skill that you can download in the description. You can drop it into Claude, you can run that automation and workflow, and you can actually have an entire Notion doc built out for you in a matter of half an hour. Use the offer everywhere. Once you validate it, use it in your ads, your landing page, your form, your emails, your SMS, your pitch decks, every single place. And that needs to form a coherent experience, right? 2 phases. Then you make sure you test it, and then that is it. Like, that's pretty much what this video is all about, right? So from here, an offer is just one part of a client acquisition system. So the Zenflow Lead to Buyer client acquisition system has 6 main components, and the offer is what feeds into everything else. So once you have an offer, then the next step is you actually need to market that offer through ads, right? Then you need to have a qualifying system, a capture system, a CRM, a booking and follow-up system. So a lot of components to a client acquisition system. So this is just a very small part of building a client acquisition system that scales you to 7 figures. Path A is, if you got this far, then you can, you can keep building solo. You can keep building this entire system out for yourself. And the tools that you're going to need meta ads, GoHighLevel, Canva, Claude, probably some few other AI tools. It's probably going to take you 12 weeks. And it's going to cost you at least $500 per month just in terms of the cost of these tools alone. So path B is we actually will help you install this entire system. So if you actually like what you saw in terms of the offer, that's what we do with our clients. So we can help you through this entire process to build out this entire system. So we will build out all your entire client acquisition system. Your offer is done for you, your ads, your qualifying system, your capture system, your booking and follow-up system. And we incorporate AI through the whole process. And we build out systems that none of your competitors are leveraging. So it makes you one of one in the entire market. If you're interested in that, if you want to find out what that looks like working with us to build out a client acquisition system that brings you in 10 to 15 leads qualified every single month, if not more, bare minimum, then book in a call. Use the description link, book in a call below, and we would love to chat and we would love to see how we can help you out. And typically, you book 5 to 10 calls per week and you add an extra 100K in 90 days. So if you're interested, use the description link. If not, no problem at all. I hope you found this valuable. Please leave a like and subscribe and leave any comments you have below. If you have any troubles using the Claude skill, if you don't know what any of the stages mean, if you want some clarification, message me on Instagram or leave a comment below. And otherwise, I will catch you guys in the next episode where we're going to dive into meta ads. So don't miss that. If you haven't yet, subscribe because the next one's probably going to be the best video that we're going to drop. We're going to break down the entire meta ads ecosystem specifically for property professionals wanting to do 7 figures or more. So stay tuned for that and I'll see you later.